E4. 2 votes for E4. 2 votes it is. All right, here we go. Knight H6. The hippopotamus defense. All right, we're going to go like this. Control the center. G6. We're going to just continue to bring out our stuff like this. D5. Okay, so that's a free pawn. We could take it with this pawn, but then the pawns are doubled, so might as well go this way. Knight's attacked. And this takes us 2 turns, but this is well worth it. There's also a center pawn. Bishop right here. So common thing is whenever the bishop comes out like this too early, is generally going to be a good idea to just kick it away like this with F3. This is going to break my pawn shield a little bit, but I'm still going to do it. So that's true about, I don't know, probably 80 to 90% of the time. If you bring out the bishop right here and you're not pinning the knight or anything, and it's possible for the other player to kick it away, then generally it's a good idea to kick it away, and it's generally a bad idea to bring it out. You just kind of lose the tempo. So after this here, then we're going to play, let's see here. How about bishop to E3? So now I'm kind of leaning towards castling this way. I think the knight has to retreat. Okay, that's a free piece. So we got 2 attackers and only 1 defender, so we just go shrink. I think we're going to lose this D4 pawn, but well worth it. Here takes. Queen takes here, and then I'm going to bring this rook over. I could also go knight up. It'd be nice if we get the knight in here, but then they're going to take it like this. So maybe let's take our time a little bit and go bishop D3. If I go rook D1, my king's not going to have safety for a while. I could also march up this pawn here to H4 and do an attack this way and get it at H7. What do you guys think? What's a good way to continue here? Bishop D3. 2 votes for bishop D3, 1 for rook D1. Let's go here. All right, now let's castle. So we're just getting our guys out, developing pieces, controlling the center. And then knight right here. This move kind of plays itself. Let's just do this. So a couple different options for like a winning strategy here. I could either win in the endgame by just, trading away pieces, or I can go for a direct attack. It's tempting to kind of try to force the issue and go for a direct attack, but, it's simple just to go for the endgame. And yeah, we can trade pieces this way, and then after taking there, what's another piece trade I can instigate now? What is best, like back there? I'm not sure, honestly. Bishop D3 feels right. Rook D1 is also maybe good. Knight F4 here is good, yeah. So I go like this, and I'm attacking the bishop. There's no way for that bishop to avoid capture. I'm very skeptical about the rating estimate here. I feel like it's about 200 points overrated. Okay, so after takes, they also have doubled pawns, so that's another advantage here. And then it's just a bit of a grind to get the W now. So go like this. Yeah, knight F4, yeah. And then after right here, by the way, when you trade, when you're trying to trade down, because you're ahead in points, is it a good idea generally to trade pawns and pieces or just pieces? Just pieces, yep. Good. And why is that the case? Oh, it'd be cool too if I could go like this. How did I do it last time? I had camera over here, went like this. Forewarning, I like to share the wealth a little bit, and I share these on YouTube. So I find that people really enjoy kind of hearing what your guys' comments are and everything. So that's why I've got this on the right over here, and so be posting this later. We'll also start a Twitch channel. Love you guys to have a look at it. Pieces can take your enemy pawns too. Opening up files, okay. Pawns make queens, sure, yeah. Trading pawns may lead to drawn endgames. This is the best answer here, yeah. So imagine if you're ahead by a piece, like a knight, but then then it's just a king and a knight versus just a lone king. You can't win that. And so that's why you want to be a little bit hesitant with trading off those pawns. Okay, so then I'm now kind of optimistic about getting an attack against the king here. I'd like to play e5, but then they take it. Good participation, by the way, in the chat here. Hard to go after pawns in the endgame with few pieces. Not quite. Really, this is the best answer. Trading pawns may lead to drawn endgames. Okay, let's see here. Let's go bishop right here. Okay, so it's free pawn. And I'm going to be able to trade off some more pieces here too. So because of this pin, to avoid losing a knight, then they had to move the knight away. So we'll go takes right here. Rook d1, our bishop takes, we'll go this way. I think next month I got to play someone a little tougher. So then like here, and then takes. And it's just sort of a slow grind. So when you're in this position in a game, what are some things you want to look out for? When you got like a big advantage like this, what are some do's and don'ts? Simplification, yep, like consolidation, Stalemate's good. You want to make sure you avoid a stalemate. And it's also going to be good too to manage your clock too. It's common that if you get like to the end game here, then you're going to be maybe down on the clock, and so make sure you don't lose. Opponent's pawn promotion. Sure, yeah. So I'm just marching these pawns forward. It's pretty hopeless here for black. And then as someone mentioned earlier about stalemate, that would be a concern here. But fortunately, they still have some pawns left, so I don't have to be too worried about that. And we're going to go here. And then we have a nice mate. Game over. Cool. All right. So, also, someone asked earlier about, like, in that one position, if bishop d3 was the right move. So I want to go back to that. Where was that? I want to see what the best move was here. On this move. Yeah, they're all about the same. h4, knight here. Does it not like rook d1, though? Yeah, just like a fraction better. I mean, fraction worse to go rook d1. Bishop d3 was a great suggestion. Okie dokie, so I'm going to exit out of this one. And then we'll take a look at these fine and dandy master games, beginning with this one. So go back to move 1 here, and let's see what the author has to say about it. So these are a great games to look at out of the Art of Attack chess book. Since I'm kind of profiting off of this guy's content, I feel a little to owe it a little bit to this guy. It's a great author, and if you want to buy his book online, it's available on Amazon. It's a really fantastic read. There's another chess coach who's been teaching chess even longer than I had, and we were at a school together, and he saw that I had this book on the table, and he goes, "Yeah, it makes me really happy that you have that one." So it's coach approved for sure. It's a great book. Okay, so game starts out e4, e6. Do you want to take a look at that tactic, by the way? This one over here. Yep. Rook takes c3, and then rook b1. Yep. Does queen a2 check also work? No, right. Because of queen e2. Nailed it. Yep. I think Jurgen's the 2000 in the group, so great insight there. Yeah, you're right. So I messed this one up actually. I did this one a second ago, earlier this afternoon, and I did actually make the mistake of going right here. And so, as you said, you want to go with here takes first, and then the idea is that after queen takes, you throw in this intermezzo going here check, which is also relevant, as Jurgen mentioned earlier. If they try to take here first, then you go this way. Here check, king moves, then you take. One way to sort of think about this problem too is to think about like what are your targets that you can go for. And so in this position, it looks like the kings are wide open and that they might be a huge target. But if you look at it, that's not necessarily the case, especially black's king. There's not really any feasible way that white's going to be able to get at it. White's king, though, is like the potential for a check right here or here could be a clue. Again, so like I'm giving advice for if you're just looking at this for the first time, how to think about it. And so it's fitting, especially for these tougher puzzles, to form like a general perspective before you start calculating. And so, yeah, the king here is going to be pretty weak and it has a potential to be attacked. This bishop, only in the sense that it's pinned. The knight, certainly not. The queen, possibly. This is sort of a red herring because it's tempting to move the queen somewhere to make a discovered attack, but doesn't really line up to anything. And so really the target is more like this rook, the bishop, and then the king. And using those points, you can kind of navigate your way through it. So let's go ahead and take a look at these games. All right, so this one is a game where black wins it in the winnower defense, French winnower. So right here, d5, knight c3, knight comes out here to f6, bishop g5. Any winnower fans in the audience? Or French players out there? I've been playing the French for many years. I've been trying to learn e5, but I just know so many lines about the French that it's hard to switch. Andrew says French! Exclamation mark. Yeah, in this position here, I wonder if so knight f6 and bishop b4 are about equally as common. I know this one really well, but I'm curious about this move bishop to b4. Okay, so after right here, then they go like this. This is the classical. So a bit of advice for you. If you play e4 and you don't quite know what to do against the French, I'm gonna spill a secret here. All French players, including myself, hate the classical. This is the best way to play against it. There's so many players who kind of take the shortcut of going for the exchange variation. They'll go like this. I don't mind the exchange variation because I have a lot of practice against it, and I've just played it hundreds and hundreds of times. And I'm really familiar with what's going to happen, and I gain like an advantage on the clock. What French players really don't like is this variation, and it makes a lot of sense positionally. Why is this move so nice positionally? What's happening here? Sort of an open-ended question for you guys. Feel free to chat or use your voice. E5 is a threat, sure. But I'm looking for more of a positional reason. This is a more tactical thing. We're going to go like this, and then here, knight comes back, here takes. Why is this a good positional strategy for white? Long castle, it comes up, but it's not the most important thing. Space advantage is relevant, yep. You don't get that with the exchange, yep. Yes, that's it. Black's good bishop is exchanged. Yeah, nailed it. So like after right here, since the pawns are on dark squares here, that makes it so that this bishop is considered bad and this one's considered good. And so it's a great strategy to trade those away really fast. And then black's kind of struggling to find equality here. Maybe what intimidates this about what players who play white here find it like why they find this intimidating is that it can get pretty sharp. White can castle queen side, and then black's going to castle king side, and then there's going to be kind of a big fight for the king, an attack on the king. But learn the lines, and you'll kick some butt against this opening. All right, so after right here, then they go bishop to b4. Again, black wins this. So let's see how they do it. And the theme here is that he's attacking the king that has lost the right to castle. So after right here, e5, h6, kicking away the bishop so we don't lose that guy. And then takes right here, takes back this way. And then after there, then we're going to go queen So knight comes out like that, and then queen right here. And then can we castle? Would castling be a good move? We got to do something about g7. Should we castle? So much fun doing this class. I really enjoyed holding this group. Exactly. You don't want to go here. You lose your pawn like this, right? So we can't really castle here. So we're gonna go g6, which looks pretty meager. You know, it looks like this is gonna be kind of bad because you're just kind of moving a pawn out and everything, and it's not ideal, but it's the best option you have right here, and it's only one tempo, so it's not too bad. Bishop comes out here to d3, and then the author says bishop c1 is also possible, like this. To enable the bishop to exert pressure from a3. In this position, it does not matter to white that he loses the right to castle, but he must play sharply and accurately. Otherwise, black's attack along the c file may prevail. So he's saying that, you know, because after here, now black goes this way, and so then the king can't castle. And the author's pointing out this isn't necessarily critical. It's okay that this gets allowed. It's just that he has to play it right. Black is not by any means like winning right now or anything. After here, then we're going to go c5, obviously. Now knight to f3. We're going to go knight c6, and it's still a double-edged game at this point. But then they go here. What do we think of this one? Yay or nay? Rook h to b1. Nay. Yeah, this is going to stuff the rooks in. So we don't want to do this here. Better instead would have been to just go right over here or queen to f4. So in the game here after this, now we're gonna continue the attack. So I'll give you the choice. Do you want to go queen c7, c takes, or a6? Take about a minute to think about it. Which of those do you think is the best move here? This is certainly the toughest question I've asked you so far. c4 is another possibility. Take about another 30 seconds. So we have two votes so far. One for c4, one for cxd. What is the best move here for black? All right, so interesting about c4. So actually, and see, this is why I come prepared. So I've actually got like a, like I said here, another engine over here. This is not my first rodeo with you guys. You guys ask great questions. So I've got an engine over here, so I can answer these tougher ones. So yeah, it's a great comment actually about c4. It turns out that was actually better than the move played. So great call on that one. He does go with queen to c7 in this case, but what you don't want to do is you don't want to take this way. If you take right here and then after right here, you can try for this this check right here, but it's just not quite going to pan out. It's better to prepare and build the attack a bit more. So in the game here, we're going to go queen to c7. Again, c4 is actually slightly better. So a great comment there by Singh. And then after right here, then queen comes here to h4, and we're going to just slide our rooks over to the c file. Looks like. After there, bishop to d7, Queen f6. Of course, we can't do that right away because our rook's under attack. So we're just going to calmly, coolly move it over here to g8, pawn to h4. And then now would this be a good time to bring it over? Should we play h5 to prevent this? Should we play here, here? What do you think? It's one of my favorite things that I really enjoy teaching chess is asking you guys questions I think will kind of stretch your thinking a little bit. Very good. Yeah, h5 would be bad. Allows right here. Good. We can eliminate this one. Good comment, Austin. Yeah, good. So this is the right idea. We do want to go rook c8 and then aim toward just capturing right here. The position, as it turns out, although it looks like it's going to be razor sharp or something, you actually have a few different feasible options. You can go c4, knight to a5, or rook to c8. So plenty of ways to proceed here. Black, in this case, goes with rook to c8. And this is a great practical choice too, especially when you're trying to manage your clock appropriately, because rook to c8, in the absence of like any huge threats, is a great is just highly likely to not be a terrible idea. The rook isn't doing anything right here. It goes to this file. It's a great improvement. You're improving your weakest piece, and it goes to a very strong piece. Now, sometimes the position will be such that a subtle difference of going to here or here and delaying the choice until white reveals what they do may be a little bit better. So a move like this may lack a tiny bit of finesse, but if you're trying to save time for a more critical point later, playing something like this quickly can be a great practical idea. So I'm betting that he did that here. I don't think he thought about it too much. But after right here, we still have to be mindful now of this. But after here, we can just take it. It's not a huge deal. After there, and then queen takes h6, it seems like white's kind of building up a bit of a counterattack, but he's not nearly as close to giving the king some real problems as black is. So after there, we're going to go c takes, and then now it's a good move. Notice in the last couple prompts, I brainstormed for you and had you select the moves. In this case, I want you to brainstorm and select. Black to move, what do you think? Jurgen's looking at knight takes d4. No comment yet. So if you go for this, what's your follow-up after king to e3? Queen takes e5. You try to jump over the knight? Get out of here. I'm trying to withhold commenting too much because I'm asking you guys to calculate, and you can't really calculate if there's not some lulls of silence. In this case here, let's see here. Bishop can go to b5 if the king is on e3 because this pin. Not quite. The rook can take. Saying knight to b4 can't take because of queen c3 winning it right back. And then also saying if knight takes right here, knight takes queen to e5. Another interesting idea. Rook takes g2. Good. I'm glad you guys are thinking. That's good. All right, so I'm going to go through this one at a time. This one here, this doesn't work. If you go like this, the rook goes over to g1, and then due to this activity, things are going to backfire on us. So then, and I know it's accurate information because I'm looking at it with the computer. I mean, I just come up with this stuff off the top of my head. But so after, so instead then, if we go for like knight b4, this is the second best move in this position. If you go right there, then what's it say we could do here? It's saying that king goes to e2. So good idea here that like if takes, you can go queen to c3. It's saying that white's best hope is just go like this. But that doesn't really resolve the question because what if we follow up by like taking right here? So here knight takes c2, and then rook to c1 does a pin right here. Queen to c3. It's getting pretty murky. Bishop takes like this, and then you go bishop b5. And believe it or not, this position is still considered level. Wow. All right, that's pretty crazy. Well, there's plenty more stuff we can cover, so I won't look at that one too much more. So the answer is to go right here. It is to go right here. But I didn't skim over this because this is the kind of decision, it's very different than a move like rook c8. You can make this move automatically. There's very low risk that it's going to be a devastatingly bad move. This move, this requires a lot of time. You can save time with playing something like this quickly, and then you can apply it towards finding the right move here. So after right here, again, if this doesn't work, we're probably going to go down in flames. But it does work. After right here, we go c3 check, and then we're seeing an example of attacking the king that's lost the right to castle. We go rook to c4. This is the critical follow-up. Another comment, though, was about queen e5. Queen takes e5. You know what? I'm not sure about that. That's interesting, but I got two more games to look at, so I'm going to keep going. Queen to f4. Bringing this back to guard right here. Well, after this, now we're going to go rook g4. Kapow. Massive attack now. All these pieces are swarming in, and knight comes back to e2. The fight's not necessarily over just yet. White's counterattacking this queen right here, but then after here check, he resigns. He resigns here because now the king, they can't take back with the bishop. The king's going to have to go here, and then you could take this with check, and then after right here, now you're up a ton of material, and the attack is continuing. So he is toast. What do you guys think? You like that game? Was that awesome? Good to hear. All right, so in this one, next, this is supposed to be more of an excerpt. So he's jumped ahead to a position where there was like knight to f4 played. So let's just jump to that, and then we'll talk about why that might be a good idea. Here, like this. It goes back here. Unless it's the wrong one. No. Hopefully not. Venice, 1948. Did they play 2 times in 1948? Is that what happened? Bah humbug. Wait a second. Hold on just a minute. The pawn structure isn't the same, so I'm concerned this isn't the right one. Yeah, it's still an interesting one, but it's not. See you, Andrew. Take care. It's still going to be an interesting game, but it's not going to be consistent with our theme. Bah humbug. All right. That one's a wash. Next one. So we got this one here. This one I know is the right game. And I like this counterexample here. This is an example of how sometimes you can lose the right to castle and still pull ahead. So I like the contrasting here. Basically, black launches an attack and they're unsuccessful, and then white turns around and wins. So let's take a look at it. And then I may kind of slow this one down and sort of, yeah, actually there's a lot of meat on the bone here. So we'll probably just go through this one a bit slower. All right, so after right here, and it'll be interesting to see how that goes. We'll see if that keeps your guys' attention or if you'd prefer more variety. So be a good experiment. Knight to c3, and then knight here, and then pawn to f4. What is the only good move here for black? D5. Yep, D5. There's another player that I coach, and he's had a lot of success with this move because it's not very natural to play D5 right now. It's kind of thing you have to sort of memorize. Another reason why this is so successful for him, I think, is that if you instead go here first, D5 is not good. You're actually supposed to take. So it's something that looks like it's very similar, but it's actually different. So you have to go D5 here. And then right from the get-go, ton of tension happening here between all the pawns and the knights, both competing for control over the center. A lot of activity there. So f takes e5, I believe, is going to be the best, but he goes d3 here, which is still okay, but it's not ideal. Bishop to b4, and now we take on e5, and then knight takes here. So what's black up to? What is the fxe5 line? Yeah, let's take a look at it. Good question. Like I said, it's great to get questions. I always like to encourage that and answer them and keep you guys engaged. Let's look at the main lines. We're just going to play all the top moves here. Knight takes, knight f3, bishop e7, queen here, knight takes, d takes, c5, bishop f4, knight c6, castles queenside. A lot of really interesting life in this position here. So, if you're looking for a new opening, maybe it's something you could try out. I like to do that in my own repertoire. I like to sort of pick openings where I feel like it's hard to come up with the reply as the opponent. So f takes here, and then queen d3. A lot of activity here. A lot of interesting stuff. So again, this is the Vienna. All right, going back to the game here, like this. Wait a second. Hold on. So then here, yeah. All right, so now we're going to take this way, and then black is going to play his explosive move right here. Knight takes e4, and of course his opponent is no bonehead here. Carl. He's also known for coming up with the Carl Khan, where you go e4 and then c6. So he's no amateur. If he's going to play something like this, he's up to something. Well, he's going to go queen to h4 check. And so our king is going to be weak. And so we have a very interesting imbalance happening here, where essentially black is playing a dubious, knight sacrifice, but then now white has the onus of trying to defend against this. And actually the position is considered balanced. The computer gives it a flat 0.0. So interesting there. After right here takes, a lot of interesting complications right now. The pawn structure is shattered, but white is going to be ahead right now by how many points is that? A whole piece. So he's ahead by 3 whole points right now. But the pawns are all weak, and the king is weak. After bishop to g4 check, hitting the queen behind the king, behind it lays the queen. Well, we're clearly not going to lose the queen. We can go knight to f3. But then after here takes, it is quite a mess. So I love that he used this example here. What do you make of it? What would you play now? There's only one good move here. Well, I mean, there's one clearly best move. I'll give you 4 choices. Queen move or pawn move. Also, to remember that if this was an actual game that you're playing, your emotional state would probably be quite a bit heightened right now. It's tough to think with a clear head when your opponent's done something like this. You mean d4, Jurgen? d4, yeah. Yep, queen d4 is going to be the way to go here. Nice bet. So kind of lining up some defense along this rank here. We got 18 minutes, so yeah, I'm just going to dig in deep with this one. This will be fun. I mean, there's a lot of meat on the bone here, so this will be fun to take a look at this one in depth. So again here, the king's lost the right to castle, but white wins this game. So kind of a great way to sort of further our understanding of how these positions can play out. So after right here, queen to d4, only one good move here for black. They have to retreat the bishop like this. And then after here, king comes to e3. And then now we're going to go. So then now here takes. And then bishop here to b5 check. And then something I was talking about earlier, whenever the bishop comes out like this, a lot of time it's bad. In this case, it isn't. This is a good move. But after this here, a typical reply for the other players to go here. This is very, very common that when the bishop goes here and the pawn can advance, it's a good idea. So after right here, and then their check, then things continue. Let's also see what else he has to say about this, though. Bishop b5 check, a risky move, first played by Steinitz against Blackburn in 1876. Correct here is g takes f3. All right, so that kind of validated what I was saying earlier, is that most of the time this is not correct. So correct here is g takes f3, and then after this, black can get a draw with queen to e1 check, king f4, queen h4 check, and that's why the computer was saying a second ago it's a flat zero, because it had foreseen this perpetual check idea. So essentially then white is playing for the win right now. He's playing a move that is objectively maybe not the best, but hoping to win this one and taking on a slightly dubious position now. So after right here check, pawn goes to c6. Now we take here, queen to h6 check. And then he says, the co-creator of the Caro-Kann defense departs from theory of this time and hits on the very best move. He's got some more to say, but we'll skim over that. King takes e4. Holy smokes. All right. King's all the way out on e4. Material count is we're up a piece. This piece is hanging, but also the queen's hanging, so they can't do anything about that just yet. A lot going on here. He also says that Chigorin takes a further risk by moving to e4. Instead, if he had gone to right here, this would have been good enough for the draw after queen to h3. Okay, ton of stuff happening. So after right here, queen comes here to g6, and then now we're just going to retreat with the queen back like so. Cx b5, and now what do? We got to kind of recalibrate, figure out where our pieces are going to go. What do we think? King of the castle. White to move here. Bishop a3, bingo. Yep, it's unanimous. You guys got it. So after right here, now the knight comes up here to c6. Now we're going to go queen d5, kind of hold on to that d5 pawn. Queen takes c2, though. So we're giving up this pawn. All right, well, what's a move that kind of plays itself here? One of those like low-risk kind of moves. Yeah, rook c1. Yep. So again, this is the kind of move where you can sort of save some time on the clock. I mean, you're bringing in a piece that's not doing anything, and you're defending right here. You know, if this move is wrong, it can only be wrong by a very small margin. So after right here, then queen now comes up here to f5, and then this can be a tough choice, figuring out where your rook should go. This one we kind of placed automatically, but now maybe, you know, while you move the rook right here, you have some time to think on the opponent's clock. And they spend, 2 or 3 minutes thinking about it, and then you figure, okay, they'll probably go back to f5. So then during that time frame, you might want to consider, okay, where does this rook want to go? G file, F file now. If I go right here, they can go G6, but then it can be kind of tough to choose between these two squares. Which one of these do you think is better? D1 or E1? Usually this will also make kind of a small difference, but we got some votes for E1. If you said E1, you are right. Rook goes over here to E1, and then now black makes a mistake. Rook to D8, dubious move. Black, it says black clearly cannot take the E pawn because of king F2. So if you're just trying to like trade away some pieces here, well, then we go king f2 when we got this pin now. Okay, so then what else you got to say about this though? But instead of rook to d8, what should he have done instead? So this is a tough thing to do too over the board, especially when you're under this much fire. It's easy to get stuck into like a lizard brain mode of thinking, but you really want to hunker down and try to figure out objectively what should black be doing right now. To be a good attacker, you need to be able to figure out the best way for your opponent to defend. To be a good defender, you need to figure out vice versa. What do you think? What was the best way for black to continue here? And there is one clear best answer here. And again, I'm going to allow for kind of a lull of silence while you guys think about this. Pablo's got it. B4. Yes, B4 was the way to go here. So interestingly, shocker, all of the other moves suggested are inferior to the value of rook to d8. Kind of fascinating. So all of these suggestions here, no offense, and I probably would make the same mistake if I wasn't looking at the engine in the book, but these are all reasonable suggestions. But as it turns out, all of these mentioned are not as good as rook to d8. So it kind of sets the bar for like where things are at right now in the position. So b4 was the best. Let's read what he has to say about this. So instead, then b4 would have been better and safer than the move played. After bishop takes, then knight takes, cxb4, and now castles, which is kind of indicative of what we saw earlier with somebody suggested like knight to e7. Yeah, it's going to be important here to castle, and so if we can just swap the bishop off and get the chance to do that, that's going to be the best way to go. And then connect the rook. Someone said that earlier too, and so that would have been a better move. He's got some more things to say about it, but we're going to, for the sake of momentum, just keep on cruising through this one. All right, so then here, after rook to d8, now we're going to go queen takes b5, and then they're going to go pawn to a6. Still, very lively, interesting, complicated position happening here. Pawn to a6, and then where should we move now? It's definitely a queen move. Where would you put it? Great participation in the chat. Let's keep that going. And then there's actually one clear best move here too. A lot of votes for queen to c4. What you got? Yeah, if you go here, the issue is that now they attack f3 and right here. If you go queen to e4, though, protecting the queen and protecting right here, that's interesting. Let's see here. So if you go there, then right here, then it says we can just go take, and then here. And again, this is the kind of stuff you can't really come up with right away. You know, this is the kind of position, you know, like I was saying earlier, this is why I practice this stuff. I'm trying to get better, trying to learn, and this is not something I can, you know, answer immediately. But that's what I love about chess. You know, you're always growing and improving and you know, getting better. So in this position here, yeah, Jurgen's got it. You actually want to go queen to b1. This is firmly the best move. So it's neutralizing the attack of this queen right here, and you know, bringing in the queen in the best way to defend. Not necessarily the first thing you'd think of, that's for sure. Queen comes over here to g5, and then after this, then now we're going to go pawn to f4. Kind of a further weakening of the kingside pawn shield here, but we have to sort of play this. We definitely cannot go to king f2. If we do this, then here check, king to f1, queen to h3. It may seem like the king's getting safer, but unfortunately it's not really the case. Now here and then here check, and things are looking pretty bad. Black would win that, actually. So instead here, we got to go pawn to f4, fighting to keep black away and keep the king safe as possible. Believe it or not, this king actually ends up over here in a second. Crazy, right? All right, so then we're going to go bishop here to d6. We don't want to play this move. If you go here, which seems like a nice rejoining move, it's connecting everything, offering the king some extra protection. It actually works out such that queen takes a2 is going to give black an advantage. So instead, we're going to go bishop to d6, kind of undeveloping the rook, if you will. By spending a tempo doing this, now black doesn't have this big fighter in right here. Okay, so then now queen to h3 check, and then where should you go? Once again, I'm allowing for a lull of silence while you guys calculate this. King d2. King e4 seems okay. So, actually, the hero of the story here made a mistake and went right here. I've only got 3 minutes, so I got to kind of blitz through the rest of it. There's also a translator who went back through. It was originally written in Russian, and there's a guy who went back through, put it in English, and also re-examined some of these lines. And he's caught most of them, but this is actually a mistake. So the original author and also the translator failed to notate this move correctly. This is actually a blunder. This king to e4 move, although it looks really fancy and exciting, it actually is a mistake objectively. After right here, then black could play like b5, and then for some reason or another, you're going to have a nice advantage. Looks like after here, queen to g2, check, king right here, and then right here. It works out such that he's got a nice advantage. So in the game here, he does go to king to e4, and now they go pawn to f5. And so after this, now we're going to go to king d5. All right, so despite how this actually is a little bit of an erroneous plan, it is quite exciting here to have a king all the way out here on d5 like that. And then there's a ton of sidelines. There's so many things that he mentions in here, but we got to skim over it here. I got to get going soon. So now, after this, well, I guess it's near the end of the game, so I can include some of it. So after right here, then what is the best move here for black? As a hint, well, as some foreshadowing here, black makes a bad move. What was the right move here for black? Can you find an improvement over what black plays? Knight to e7's no good because of like king c4. King f7's no good. Queen takes b7. Queen g2. So he makes the move queen to g2. It was actually better to go here, rook to c8. Once again, it's really not the first thing you think about. All right, so he goes right here. White now has a winning position and wins it in fashion by sliding the king all the way back to the safety of that a1 square here. Here, there, rook c2, forming a nice little cover now for the king to walk into a1 like so. And then after this, then queen to c4. Again, I got to get going soon, but it's been so much fun doing this. I really enjoy these lessons, and I look forward to coming back in a month from now. So yeah, we're almost done. But did you guys enjoy the lesson? Was this fun and interesting? Learning stuff? Stretching your brain? You are very welcome. Awesome. Good to hear. Yeah, absolutely. Then rook to g1. And then after here, rook takes g7. A very fanciful finish, after which black resigns. So after right here, what a king walk there. Yeah, exactly. After here takes, here is going to be mate. That's going to do it.